Oh God.
Really?
Oh
Jesus.
God.
That's
Oh
not,
God.
that's a pretty
I
high
mean,
one, but so
That's
why,
flaming, man.
why
Flaming
high?
hot.
Skylar, another week, another episode. Ladies, gentlemen, we're glad to have you here. Third episode, the Lunch Table Pod, dude. How you been since last time we talked?
I've been good, man. Busy, very busy. New job and all that stuff. It's been busy time, but been good. Things are happening. We're about to start the school
Things are
year.
happening. We like
Yeah,
to hear things are happening.
that's right. I mean,
Uh, so how much longer you have till classes start?
uh, let's see. We did
For
open
reference,
house.
it is August 1st as of recording this, everybody.
Yeah, yeah. So we did open house today, and kids come in Thursday. So
Wow.
yeah, it's really happening.
Oh, wow. Sheesh. I wasn't ready for that. I'm not even going to be a part of that. I'm a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I'm excited for it because I've been away from teaching for a while, like I said back in episode one, and so it's good to be back, and it got me excited to have an open house today. So things are going good, man. How you been?
Dude, I've been phenomenal. Keeping myself busy just with the routine, just working out, golf and work. I'm just gonna preface my whole episode, everybody. This is my third configuration of a mic and a headset. We're finally rocking something with at least like a microphone on the cord. I've been catching some major heat for this. Um, if this doesn't work this week and y'all keep giving me more shit for it, I'm gonna switch to the full blown professional. I just don't. To me, it's not that bad, but apparently it is, Skylar. And I'm going to go ahead and address on top of my microphone issues. I'm aware I have some very odd lighting on. I had to get a ring light situation going. It's like one half my face is incredibly well lit, and then the other isn't. So we're learning, we're growing. Just wanted to kind of give everybody like the effort's there. It's not that I don't care. It's just that like I only think about it till 30 minutes before we record, and
Yeah,
that's on
dude.
me.
No, I mean, is it on you though? I mean, how high of quality is Zoom really gonna record is the question. I mean, I know we're not paying for
Uh,
super duper Zoom, but I mean,
I just have to think that more of the blame lies upon. Well, when I watch the YouTube videos, Skylar looks HD, the audio's crisp, and I'm not. And I know we're both using Zoom straight up, so that's good. We'll figure it out here eventually.
I
Give me
respect it.
2 more weeks, and I think I'll have everything dialed in.
We'll have it
But
squared away for sure.
yeah. Everybody, we're glad you're with us. Today, we're actually going to do something a little different with the episode. We're going to flip up the order. We kind of realized we'd fallen in love a little bit with what we were doing. So we were like, screw that. Let's pull the rug out from under it. Let's change up the order. And we're going to open up with around the table today, which our conversation we just had there was kind of a little segue into it, in my opinion. And I got to bring this up for around the table. So this past weekend, hanging out with a couple of mine and Skylar's old buddies, we're talking and Facebook comes up. I feel like the older you get, the more Facebook kind of sneaks back into your. Uh, and one of my friends, he brought up a lot of people have no shame of posting their significant other who is just uglier than sin and just praising this person for being like gorgeous and beautiful. And it's just like, is there an appropriate way to tell somebody like your significant other is a look at? Is that like a thing you're allowed to say?
I don't think that you're really allowed to say that,
Dude,
honestly. I
some
mean,
of these
I don't
some
feel
of
like
these
there's any
bridge
way.
trolls. I mean, it's bridge trolls being posted, and it's just like, God. And then, I mean, I it just, and I hate, I'm not going to name names, never would do that here. But you see some people, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but it's like every relationship, they just go on to like a significantly more ugly person than the last. And it's just your standards keep dropping and dropping. But that's the saddest thing. I just recently, really the thing that inspired this was when we were together. I mean, for lack of better words, people need to do better and be better for public appearances. I don't care who you are, what you look like, but don't go shoving somebody in my face, calling them things that they're not. That's it.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I think I'm just gonna plead the fifth on that subject for now, but
Yeah. Well,
I
luckily you're not
totally
guilty of
get it.
that. Yeah, you're not guilty of that, so you don't have to say anything.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I'm doing all right. That's for sure.
What you got for me this week? What you got for me?
Oh man, so in my life, same, getting started with teaching, like I said earlier, busy, but in the sports world, I do have a few things that really interested me this week.
Run them.
Couple of Georgia topics, specifically NFL players from Georgia. And the first one I want to get into is the Seahawks running back room. Kenny McIntosh right now is the starter, man, and I'll tell
Yeah,
you, I
sneaky
uh,
good.
I if I were grading him out as a prospect, I would have graded him definitely no lower than a third round pick. Like the dude is severely underrated because of how good Georgia's offense was last year overall, and how good of an offensive coordinator Todd Monken was for us. But he's severely underrated. Like I said, I mean, he put up insane stats last year. I was looking at an article today on one of those Georgia football websites, and it had a comparison of Kenny McIntosh's total yards, touchdowns, all of that kind of stuff this past season compared to like the greatest Georgia running back seasons of all time. And dude, like he was right there with like Todd Gurley, Nick Chubb, Sony Michelle. Like I'm telling
Really?
you, the dude put
I
up a
wouldn't have
great
thought that.
season. Yeah, most Georgia fans don't even realize he had over 500 receiving yards last year.
That was the one thing that always stood out to me was his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. So
Yeah,
yeah, that Seahawks running back room is very deep.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, and I'm excited to see what they do, but I'm also just excited. I mean, obviously not happy guys get injured, but cool. It'll be cool to see Kenny get a shot if he does. Second thing, a little positive thing that I read about, and it just made me feel good for the guys. John Mechie, recovering from leukemia, he's been cleared to practice, and I just think that's freaking awesome, man. Like, good for him.
Yeah, anytime you hear news like that, it's kind of similar to the Damar Hamlin situation, which is just obviously above and beyond anything else. Just knowing that these guys sat there and looked into the abyss pretty much, and just, especially in a Messi situation, that's such a difficult battle to have to overcome. For them to conquer that and then to say, I want to be right back on the battlefield is some very admirable stuff. Like a lot of, I feel like a normal person would have a situation like that happen and would definitely step back and calm down. But then I think for wired differently once you make it to that level and you can fight those battles and you can go to the other side and come back. They're warriors, man.
Yeah, that's for sure. Definitely the reason I wanted to highlight that because it's just awesome. Let's see, what else did I have? George Pickens. Have you seen the practice clips, specifically the one I think it was
I,
today, the
I have no
one-handed
idea.
catch? Dude,
Oh, really?
you got to look it up, man. This catch was insane. It was George Pickens at practice today, and he made a one-handed grab over Joey Porter, the rookie out of Penn State, and it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. One of the best practice catches I can say I've ever seen.
Interesting. Here we go. You can always count on TMZ.
Oh yeah, always.
I'm just looking at the two still shots of him at the peak of this catch, and this is absolutely absurd.
I'm telling you,
Oh
man.
my lord, he is up there. All right, here we go. Here's the video.
Yeah. No, I mean Porter has pretty good coverage on him. He holds him a little, but it's good coverage, and I'm
That's
telling you.
I don't care if that's in practice or not. That is unreal. And this just goes to highlight what we talked about last week. George Pickens could be a breakout season.
I've been seeing a lot of stuff about him at
Y'all heard it
practices.
at the lunch table first. Just remember that.
Yeah. And then one more bit of news on the opposite end of the Mechie news. It's not, it's not terrible news, I guess, but just annoying at this point. Like the 14th player from UGA just got a speeding
Oh,
charge
oh.
in 2023 alone. Like, are you kidding
It's
me?
and they're all like for doing 30 over, dude. Like it's not just these minor incidences. I don't know. Like, and obviously, I'm not equipped mentally to run a team of 18-year-old like young men that are just given these NIL deals and all that. But it's definitely starting to occur. Maybe that we could have a discipline issue at Georgia. I don't. I mean, I know they got to be running and crawling them, but there's no way they're not. Like,
Definitely.
I missed one breakfast at a very small NAIA school. For that, I swear to God, I would never miss anything again. And so I can't even imagine. I mean, they got to be running stadiums around Sanford, dude. Like, I don't get it. It's definitely going to be a problem. I think something's even worse than what's already is going to happen, and it'll be too late to fix it.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. So that's pretty much the end of our round the table segment. So let's go ahead and jump into what we're going to do next, and that's going to be trivia. Like Brody said, we're going to go ahead and switch that order on that. So I've got a couple of questions submitted by our man Chandler. Shout out to Chandler. Appreciate you submitting some questions, buddy. They're both baseball related. Um,
Very on brand for Chandler. I
oh
mean,
yeah.
what is either going to be that or golf?
Oh yeah, dude. So first question, and I have not looked these up. I promise you. So I have no
Y'all,
idea.
and just I'm going to preface it. Baseball gets a little crazy. If I whiff on these, I mean, it's just like swinging and miss at a pitch. Just know I gave it my best shot. Like I stayed in there and I looked for my pitch. All right, but
All
go ahead and run it. Give it to me.
right. I will say just one more preface to the trivia question. I used to be a baseball nerd, so maybe I'll recall some of these magically from my childhood obsession. So,
If
anyways,
it's yeah, it depends on the era, but I'll give it my best shot.
yep. Here we go. Who is the longest running franchise in baseball?
Franchise in baseball is, I believe, the Braves.
I was literally going to say the Milwaukee Braves,
Yeah,
right?
I
Isn't
mean,
that where they started?
did we start in Milwaukee? We start in Boston. I think we went to
I think
Boston first, and then it was Milwaukee. Or
I
do I have that backwards?
no, I thought we went Milwaukee, Boston, back to Milwaukee.
That may have been it. And then if it's not the Braves for oldest running franchise, I'm gonna guess the Dodgers from Brooklyn to LA.
The oldest team in baseball is the Atlanta Braves.
Atlanta Braves. Appreciate Chandler for the gimme on that one. Just if y'all are Braves fans, you get this fact shoved down your throat constantly if you go to the stadium. So it's pretty that would have been a bad whiff if I didn't get that.
No, we did start in Boston. You know what? This is all coming back now. We
Yeah,
started
that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
we were actually the original Red Sox, although not quite, because we were the Boston Red Stockings
Yep.
back in 1871.
Which is just
So,
absurd to me.
yep.
Like, imagine playing baseball 6 years after the Civil War. I, contextually, I just can't put that together.
I know. I know. All right. So, second question is who are the six teams in the MLB who have never won a World Series? And then of those six, who has never been to a World Series? So I guess we're just gonna
Ooh,
do this one together. Is that what we're gonna try?
yeah, we can do this one
That's a
together.
lot.
The six teams that have never won a World Series.
Chicago White Sox, right?
Um,
Um, I know
the
the
thing about baseball is these teams that suck have won a World Series.
oh
Like,
yeah, a
like,
long time ago.
like, have did the Mariners ever actually win a World Series?
No, I know that for a fact. That's two.
Okay, I know the Mariners. Yeah, I was sitting there thinking, I know they made it
Yeah.
won it.
They had the greatest freaking regular season of all time, and they didn't
Right.
win the World Series.
So we have the Mariners, the White Sox. I really don't think they have. So those are two.
Yeah,
Um,
those two.
I know that everybody in the NL East has won one,
Yeah.
correct? And then
When did the Marlins win again?
the Marlins won. They had that random year before they traded away their whole entire farm. I think it was 2012 or something like that.
Oh, that's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
it's just, and then that's like I think they had Stanton and all them still.
Yeah,
So the whole NL East is 1-1. Golly, who is?
I know. I'm
We just
trying to
got. We
think.
got to just name a couple now because we'll spend the whole
Dude,
freaking pod
I
thinking about it.
know. I know. I wanted to
All
say the
right,
freaking Guardians, but they won that random one in the mid to 2010s too.
they did. Same thing kind of with the Royal. Yeah, they did. Have the
Dude,
Diamondbacks ever won a World Series?
oh, that's a good one. That's definitely one of ours.
I don't think the Diamondbacks have won a World Series, and if they have, it's like one, and it's really random.
So,
Um,
so we got Mariners, Diamondbacks, White Sox.
what about the Athletics? I know they had some runs. Did they? Yeah, they did. They did.
No, did they?
It would have been. I can't recall. Nothing comes to my mind. So
Dude,
maybe the Athletics is like the hardest part is thinking of what team's never even been to the World Series.
yeah, I know. Um,
I'm just gonna throw out a couple just happens here. I can't even make myself do some of this. Fuck it, the Padres and like the Rangers. Even though I'm wrong right there, I know that. So that's a whiff.
I
Uh,
don't. Did the Padres win one?
no, I think the Rangers did. You're gonna have to. That's five. I can't even.
Dude, I'm like trying to think of baseball team names that you're not saying, and I'm
Oh, the
struggling.
Rockies. The Rockies are the team that's
Oh,
never
that's a
even.
good
They've
one.
never
Yeah.
been. They've never been
Okay.
to the World Series. I know that for that's they're the last team.
All right. So that's our six.
Yeah, that's as good as I'm gonna give you right there.
So White Sox,
Mariners,
Mariners,
Rockies,
Rockies,
Padres,
Diamondbacks, and
and the Rangers, which I know
Rangers.
I think they have. I'm pretty sure they
I
won in
think
like
so
'08,
too.
right? Did they win in 2008?
Um, did have the Orioles won one? Should we
I
replace
was
the
gonna say
Rangers
that.
with the
I was gonna
Orioles?
say that earlier on, but I just know the Orioles to me feel like such a historic franchise that there's no way they haven't won one. But I don't know. Oh yeah, I feel like we have to take the Rangers out because I know they've won it.
So
So
we're
we can put the Orioles in. We can put the Orioles
Orioles
in. Right.
in.
All
All
right,
right,
hammer it.
here we go. Uh, dude, Texas Rangers,
Ah, well,
Colorado Rockies,
feed me.
Tampa Bay Rays, Mariners, Brewers, Padres. That's
All
the
right,
six.
all things good. Let's just go ahead and say that I go 4 for 6 on the first run.
I mean, dude, that was not bad at all,
I
honestly.
think, I mean, I'm going to take that as a dub. I think over 50% on that question shows that I at least know something.
Yep.
And then the Rockies are the team that's never been, correct?
Yeah, I mean, he acted like there was more than one. Um,
Uh,
let's see. Teams that have never been to a World Series, according to Google search. Oh, well, that's not it. Never been to. Let's go. Let's go.
Chandler going to have
Mariners.
to reach out and say that you whiffed on not providing the answers to the second part of this question. So that's on you. Be better, buddy.
Yeah, he should have just sent them to us while we were recording. Actually, should
You
just
know,
know we're recording.
in fact, I think we need to get Chandler on as maybe the trivia host
It,
1 week.
yeah, we'll see if he's interested.
But
Let's hit him up.
yeah, we'll have to talk to him. So, all right, that's the end of that. I mean,
Yeah, I can't even
I'm taking
find it.
that. I think I went in terms of 7 total answers I had to give. I went 5 for 7.
Yeah.
It's hot early on trivia. So, go ahead and pencil that in for next week. Just keep the streak rolling.
Oh yeah. I just couldn't think of baseball team names for whatever reason. I was drawing a blank. I
I
guess I'm
the,
just in a football mindset.
my biggest struggle I was having is with baseball. There's so many franchises that are so old. They've all been relevant at. They're all a trivia answer. So that was what I was with. But then I just know like the Mariners. It was such a big deal that they never won. You know. So I'm getting your internet connection is unstable message. Are we good?
It's lagging a little bit, but
Mic check 1 2.
it's not terrible.
It's gone away, so maybe we're caught up. Hate to have this happen in the middle of the episode, everybody. My apologies there.
What do you mean? It's exactly what you want, man.
Yeah, it is. So you want to go ahead and move on to rankings for the week?
Yeah, yeah, let's do it, man. I got my rankings ready, and I'm excited about them. Dude,
I am too.
I said I struggled last week.
Dude,
I
this one
had
was
no
hard.
idea. I had no
For the
idea how
first
hard the
time, I've
struggle
got
was.
like as many honorable mentions as I do people on the actual list. And for everybody that remembers last week, I think we were going to do centers for basketball. But we actually discussed this yesterday, and we were like, football's right around the corner. And especially running backs are incredibly relevant. So we were like, let's give our top 5 running backs for keeper leagues. This is all. I mean, this kind of playing in the conversation we had last week about the contract disputes. But I'm excited. There's always a lot of running back talent, but I think it's interesting when you are talking keeper leagues, the factors that you have to consider. All right, so guys, welcome back to the rankings segment. We had a little bit of a Wi-Fi connection. I'm really definitely the weakest link of the chain. My apologies. Between the mic issues, the lighting, and now Wi-Fi, the podcast was definitely doing a lot of carrying me. I'm not carrying it. But welcome to our top 5 rankings. I'm not sure where I was cut off at, Skylar. So I think I'm just going to go, remind everybody, we're doing top 5 running backs for keeper fantasy leagues. And we got a little new way we're doing this week. We're each going to take our turn giving our top 4. We'll discuss our guys a little bit, and then we'll go back and forth and talk about our number 1. And I'm going to lead us off this week. And at number 5, I have Najee Harris, who I may hear a little bit of feedback about. But I think after his bye week last year, the way he performed and the way the Steelers kind of look to be retooling, that offense is going to be a grinder offense, and I think he fits into that very well. I think
Uh, are you still going? I gotta say, man, I love Najee Harris. Okay, I do. Like he's one of my favorite running backs in the league for real. But I think I've got, let's see, my 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got 12 names, I think, above
I
him
just
just for
I don't know,
fantasy.
dude. I think when you
So
look
I'm
at
interested. Let's hear it.
I think when you look at I would need to pull it up. But after the bye week last year, he had that Liz Frank injury in his foot. And as a running back, I mean, that's a killer injury, but it's not like a repeat trauma injury. So it's a one time deal. You heal and you're gone. When he got back from that, he was right back to a top 5 running back in fantasy PPR leagues, like immediately as soon as he was healthy. The question mark that I get is the Steelers. Like, if that's what you want to say, then I can definitely understand that. But I think that's where a guy like Najee becomes even more valuable is when an offense is trash and they need something to defer to over and over again. And I think you'll get a ton of volume out of him. And I think honestly the Steelers will. From what I saw out of him, and I hated watching these games, but from what I saw post bye week, dude, I think there's no reason to think that he won't have at least 2 more seasons. And out of a running back, if you get 2 seasons of very high quality play, I think that's very good. So I think he's right there. And which all of my honorable mentions could tie for him at this spot. I'll say that. All right. But
Yeah.
at
No, I get
4,
that. I get that for sure.
so at 4 after Najee, this is a guy that I love, and I think if he develops a better pass catching game, he will stay relevant for a very long time. That's Travis Etienne Jr. This guy is incredibly
Love that
talented to
pick.
me. This guy's incredibly talented. I love the way he fits into the Jags offense. Just can kind of do it all as if he develops a better receiving game. Like I'm not saying he can't do it, but it's not his strength whatsoever. And I think to be like a relevant running back for many years in this league, like you've got to be a pass catcher. So if he develops that and really takes over that backfield, I love him. He put up multiple games last year that if you had him, I think he won you your week. And that's all. That's always nice to have.
Yeah, I love ETN for sure.
And then at 3, a guy that age-wise, this is my only guy with really an age concern, but he's still young and his play style leads itself to some longevity. It's really just there's previous injury concern, but he's so good it doesn't matter. I have Christian McCaffrey at number 3. I think if there's not really much to say about it, you could have him even higher. He's definitely a little bit on the older side for your guys in keeper leagues. But he's the guy to me that's going to put you over the top if you're in that position. Like you don't really have a running back. Definitely that guy. I wouldn't draft him as my foundation. Just he's missed some weeks every year, but that's the nature of having a running back that plays a lot of snaps. And then at number 2, the last of my top 4 before I'll let Skylar get into his, is a guy that I really enjoyed watching last year, and I'm excited to see how he develops in this new offense that they're going to have. But that's Breece Hall. This guy is exciting. Just do it all back to me. And I think that the Jets, as they kind of air it out and spread it open a little bit, he's going to have a lot of room to make plays that I don't think he had the opportunity last year. I mean, if you watch the Jets games, that offense was anemic at times with the quarterback play that they were offered. So I think with Rodgers in there and definitely like some veteran leadership and more spacing for a couple of years, Breece Hall is going to be a very high scoring running back. I think he's going to get a lot of red zone chances. That's why I have him so high. I just kind of the way that Rodgers operated in Green Bay, you definitely saw these looks as you got towards the red zone. And I think Breece Hall is just going to take those and just eat them. So that's my top 4. This was hard for me this week because when we get into our honorable mentions, all these guys to me could be tied for pretty much 3 through 5. Running backs are tough, man, because it's
especially in today's NFL.
Yeah, it's like there's not many backfields that aren't running back by committee. So there's that to consider. It's like how many snaps is my guy going to get volume wise to even have his chance to perform? And they all have injury concerns. I mean, they're running backs, so you're just like, oh, this guy missed 6 weeks this past season, or that and this. So I really struggled with it, but I kind of based mine off of what I thought like ceiling of points was per week. And to me, like that's kind of the important thing with running backs. Like you need these guys they need to be able to pop off for you. So that's kind of why I went with those 4. So I'm excited to hear what you have, and then I think we'll have some good honorable mentions as well.
Yeah. I'm very intrigued to see your number 1 because I'm pretty sure that it's not the guy that I have at number 1. So
my number 1, I'm not going to say it. To me, it's not like it's a hot take, but it's not steaming.
Yeah, it's probably if it's who I think it is, I think it's not as hot of a take as you are thinking because every ranking has anyway. So let's get into my top 4. And by the way, I do want to mention before I forget that when I was talking about Najee Harris earlier, I wasn't saying that there's 12 guys better than him as a fantasy player. I was just saying like I didn't think of him till the 13th name. You know what I mean? So like I think top 10, I wouldn't have him top 5, but like I understand your reasoning, and if he does best case scenario, he's easily top 5. Best case scenario, easy.
That was my thought process, and there was a couple names scratched out at 5. So I won't say that he was first thought in the 5.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure my number 1 was scratched off. Anyways, let's get to that later. So my number 5, and I love this guy being higher in your ranking. I would have him higher if he wasn't just a rookie last year, but Breece Hall is my number 5. 22 years old. He was outstanding in the games he did play, on pace for a really legendary rookie season.
Very, very unreal pace.
But like you said last week, ACL injuries aren't exactly the same as they used to be. A lot of guys bounce back better than ever. So, it could be nothing. But I was hesitant to move him higher than 5 because of that.
Yeah, ACLs to me, I just take let's like Ronald Acuna Jr. for example. Um, these guys they come back from the surgery and they're kind of maybe a little slower and they have to adjust the game. But I think everybody almost comes back faster and more explosive these days. So we'll see how he holds up. But I love him being in both of our top fives, that's for sure.
Yep. So my number four is Christian McCaffrey. And honestly, if I'm being 100% real here, I didn't know until I just looked it up a minute ago that Christian McCaffrey played every single game last season. He did not miss a single game. I thought he missed 1 week for some reason. I don't
I
know
want to
why.
say that he missed time in a game last season. Like he
Maybe
didn't
that was it.
like he started the game, but I do not believe he finished it. And I think it was right prior to the trade.
Yeah.
I think it was them protecting him for value in the trade.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that was funny you said that because when I was doing my research as well, I noticed that. But it's just we all do remember the seasons prior to last year for Christian
Right.
McCaffrey.
Right.
So we'll see if it's a trend or what. I mean, it just depends if the 49ers can scheme him some space.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love
But
CMC, especially with Shanahan. And I've always been a fan of his. I think my one justification, though, for keeping him at four and not any higher is 27-year-old age. I mean,
27, yeah,
that's old for a running back nowadays. And
that's
it's,
just old in the NFL.
yeah,
Let's just be honest.
that's true. That's true. So my number three, I'm pretty sure this is your number one. I've got Bijan Robinson at number three. We won't reveal if he's your number one yet or not, but I'm
I
just
don't have
gonna
much of a poker face, so I
take
think
a
it's pretty
stab.
obvious.
I'm gonna take a stab at it.
Uh,
Anyways, so he's everyone's number one right now on all the rankings I looked up online. He was ranked number one, and
that
I
surprised me because I put the list together and I put him there. Very homer pick as a Falcons fan, but I mean I'm excited to see how man he is. I mean, it's supposed to be generational. But then when I did start looking at some lists, I was incredibly surprised to see him at the top of so many of these rankings. What do you think about him?
I love Bijan. I do. I think he does have number one potential, but like he hasn't played it down yet. So maybe I'm just too traditional in that and I'm just not with it. But I love Bijan. I think he's gonna finish probably top five at worst if he stays healthy all year, even in the
If he
Falcons
stays healthy,
offense.
and then I'm just interested to see how we use him.
Yeah.
Obviously we have Tyler Algier coming off a great season last year, and then we don't have the best quarterback.
No.
So we could use Bijan to hide the fact that we don't have the best quarterback for the short passes, or having a bad quarterback could turn into Bijan not getting looks. So it's kind of like my concern. But Arthur Smith has definitely proven that he's able to scheme. So I'm so excited. I love taking the best player available in a draft, especially in the NFL. And so I'm glad that the Falcons took Bijan.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, love Bijan. And I guess I'll just move on to Jonathan Taylor. That's my number two.
Yep.
He's 24 years old. He's only going into his fourth season. So, he's one of the few true workhorses left in the NFL and possibly the best pure running back in the NFL besides Nick Chubb, in my
I would
opinion.
agree. I would agree.
And I just love Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he is the Colts offense when it's at its best. And he proved that 2 years ago. I mean, he had a down year, I guess, before he got injured last year, but that's compared to a year where he was
Very
literally,
legend. Yeah.
yeah, he had one of the best seasons of all time.
That's why
And
he's my
so, of
first
course,
honorable mention. The talent is undeniable. And like you said, the workhorse factor is something to be said for. Like getting that much volume in today's NFL for your fantasy players, that's huge. Just knowing that he's going to get looks. But I think you said it best unintentionally when you said he is their offense when it's going. And the Colts offense is very rarely going. That team is anemic to me. I think they are like the Dead Sea. Um, and I'm almost worried that Jonathan Taylor will go the way of Andrew Luck.
well, here's the thing though, Brody. What do running quarterbacks do for running backs?
I understand that they create opportunities and space and mismatches, but the
You
Colts will
like
have to.
Jonathan Taylor one on one with who do you like against him? I guess I should ask.
That's valid.
one-on-one. But
That's
anyway,
valid. I'm not gonna argue. I mean, I think he's right there because he was my first fifth slot before Najee.
yeah,
Um, and I just have more. I guess I have more faith in Mike Tomlin than I do the Colts organization to provide looks. So, but
sure.
Jonathan Taylor is he could very well make me eat my words and have another historic season this year. So we'll see.
Sure. Yeah. And honestly, age plays a factor there too. 24 years old. He
Yeah,
should have at least 3 to 4
you would think it.
great potential years left in him. You would think
You
what?
would think at least three. At
Yeah.
least three. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll move right into number ones. And since we already kind of
Yeah,
revealed
I
it,
don't really. Yeah, so I have Bijan at number one, and I already kind of touched on it. I'm just so excited for this guy. I think it's been a while since the Falcons have truly just committed to like getting a star, and especially on the offensive side of the ball, we kind of stumbled into Julio, in my opinion, and then we didn't utilize him in the way that I think we should have. Obviously, he had iconic seasons and iconic plays, but the results never really turned into dubs when they needed to. And then I think that having a guy like Bijan Robinson in this scheme that we're running, I think Arthur Smith is trying to bring like revert football back to the running style. And he's got incredibly inventive formations and motions that I'm a massive fan of watching. And I also think that the reason that if I really think about it, that Bijan's ranked so high on this other list is the Falcons' offensive line. We have the best run blocking offensive line in the NFL, not even close. So that goes a long way with a rookie kind of creating a little more space and time for him to think and make plays. Um, and my one concern, the longer I think about it, is the fact that Desmond Ridder is his quarterback. I'm not sold on the Ridder project at all. I've never been wowed by him. I wasn't wowed by him at Cincinnati. Um, so we'll see. Bijan's my number one just due to raw talent and age. I think if he is who he's supposed to be, he's going to be a difference maker.
yeah. No, I mean, like I said earlier, I love Bijan. I think he's a great prospect. They've even said in some reports that I've read, which I feel like I read this about running backs every season, and then they have mediocre receiving seasons. But this guy's different because he's a great receiver. They say that they have Bijan lining up at receiver a little bit in camp, and that's
Yeah,
very intriguing if that's true because, the more catches, the more fantasy points, and especially PPR league wise. I mean,
it's
that's all you
almost
can
like
ask for.
from what I can tell, it almost seems like we may have like an inverse Debo Samuel. So where Debo was a wide receiver that moves to running back, where we'll have a running back that moves to receiver depending on the play and formation and the matchups. Because I've seen the same thing, and that's to me a running back lining up as a true receiver out of the huddle. That's intriguing, and especially if he becomes a full time receiver, but still has the running back designation. That can create a lot of mismatches in your lineups.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I'll jump into my number one, and I'm confident in this, but I know it's controversial, and I don't really care. My number one's Josh Jacobs, man, and
Wow,
Josh
wow.
Jacobs. The reason I have Josh Jacobs at number one is because his consistency over the last 3 years as an every week fantasy threat and dominator. I mean, the dude never finishes outside the top 10, top five last year, never. I mean, obviously every now and then, but you get what I'm saying. Like he never really finishes outside of the top 10. And a guy like that for 3 years running, heading into his fifth season overall in the NFL, he's a true superstar. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't just think it's for fantasy. I think he's the best running back in the NFL right now. And that's saying that over guys that I truly love, like Nick Chubb. I've argued him as the best back for years. Even when Derrick Henry was dominating, I said Nick Chubb is slightly better because he has better vision. He works with a different scheme that Derrick Henry wouldn't be able to run in. And there's a lot of reasons that I think Nick Chubb was
That's
slightly better than Derrick Henry at the time. But Josh
I had no
Jacobs,
argument on
man.
Nick Chubb. Josh Jacobs, wow. So Josh Jacobs is actually my second honorable mention.
Yeah.
Uh, and my concern was simply just there's something about it that seems like it's all happening on ice. where at any moment he could just break the ice, fall through into the cold water, go into complete anemic shock, and we'll just never see that output again. Because at some point it's going to happen to one of these big name running backs. I mean, it happens all the time. And he just, to me, seems like that candidate, and I don't know why. And I think it's the Raiders curse that really sits with me. Um, dude, he's excited to watch, especially in that breakout season was unreal. It's so I love it. I mean, I can't argue with it. I don't really know if I agree with it, especially the best in the league statement. But at the same time, I can't dispute it. So,
It's really based mostly on last year, because
so
dude, what
do you think he will improve upon last season?
he's improved every year of his career, man. What's the reason he can't going into his age 26 season? I mean, he's only 25 right now, and he's always in great shape. He's worked with terrible offenses, with great offenses. He's worked every pretty much every year of his career. He's been a productive player. I mean, I just love Josh Jacobs, man. I wasn't a big fan a few years ago, honestly, and then I started really watching him, and the guy is just uber talented. So,
Yeah, I agree.
like I said, it's controversial, but his consistency and the fact that you can count on him, I think for another 3, 4 seasons at least, which when I'm thinking dynasty or keeper, I'm really thinking 3 to 5 years from now, because who else wants, I mean, who wants to wait longer than that to try to compete
Exactly.
and win? So yeah, I just think Josh Jacobs is a great guy you can keep now, and you can have him for later too.
All
So
right, man.
let's run
So
off our honorable mentions real quick. We'll let you start off with yours since I just rambled my top four and just
now you're
talked
good.
about.
Um, you're totally fine. I think you had to defend your number one a little bit right there, so I'll give you some leeway with that.
Oh yeah, like I said, I'm
Um,
confident, but
so
had
my
to defend
first
it.
two honorable mentions, I've kind of mentioned it in passing since they were in your top fives, were Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs. Had them both right there. I just don't know why I'm not confident in them continuing to be those guys. I don't know why. It's just a feeling I have, and I'm no Nostradamus, but that's just a feel. I wouldn't want if I got a trade with those players involved, it'd have to be pretty tasty. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then another guy I have up here. I'm a big Kenneth Walker fan. He's the running back room there is crowded. Obviously, the injury, you don't like that. But I think if he bounces back in a way that I think he will, and I think he'll be kind of a workhorse. I think he'll get a lot of touches, especially if he develops more into that power back in that offense, and then like kind of lets the catches come as they will. Um, I don't know. I've always been a big fan of the Seahawks too. I think they produce quality fantasy players. I think they produce guys like the Tyler Lockett's of the fantasy world, where they always end up being like top 10, 12 every single season, and then they have multiple weeks as the top five guy. So I like him. And then a guy that I thought, especially last season, that when he played and when he got a lot of looks in that game, he always produced was J.K. Dobbins. I'm a big J.K. Dobbins fan. It's just I wouldn't put a lot on him just because I don't think he'll ever be the guy. I think it all it's like we said earlier. A lot of these teams are going by committee now, so there's not one guy to look to in those offenses. But if it were to become a situation, I love J.K. Dobbins on an everyday role. Um, I have Javante Williams in there as well. I think his talent, his age, and to me, it just feels like the Broncos are due for a stud to kind of break through at the running back position. I love him there. He's, I think, a guy you can get kind of cheap too in a trade. It's going to take a little bit, but you wouldn't have to put everything on it like a freaking Jonathan Taylor trade. You know what I mean? And then I've got Saquon. Saquon has shown injury concerns, obviously, but when he's on the field, he is absolutely unreal. This isn't a guy that I would, hemorrhage my future on, but if you're in a position to win a championship now, I would love a Saquon pickup. I think he's one of those guys where his ceiling every week is the number one player in fantasy. If he's on the field, he could be the number one player in fantasy every week.
Yeah,
But he's got to be on the field.
yeah, that's the thing. That's
Yep.
the thing. I think that's why, he's way talented enough to make both our top fives. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
and he just can't stay healthy, man. It's sad because they got that high pick on him, and I really believed in him the way that he worked out, the way that he keeps himself in shape. Like it's really just bad luck.
It is.
Um,
And too, just when you're that physical, at some point, like it's you can only hit people so hard before you break down. It doesn't matter whether or not you're getting hit. Like the contact goes both ways,
right.
and I think that's starting to show for Saquon.
Yeah, that's for sure. So do you have any more honorable mentions, or is that all of yours?
That's it, man. That's all I got.
All right, so I'll run through mine. The ones you already talked about, I won't barely touch on them, but Saquon Barkley was the top one on my honorable mentions. Like you said, can't stay on the field. Jahmyr Gibbs was next for me. He's same thing
Funny. All
as,
right, I meant to have him listed. Okay,
yeah,
so it's funny you said that. I'm glad you said that. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he is going to be a stud.
yeah, no, I mean, he had a legendary receiving season himself, just like Kenny McIntosh last year. So, for a running back, and so Jahmyr Gibbs is same thing as Bijan. He's been lining up at receiver according to reports, and so that's like we said earlier, it's a great weapon to have, and knowing a running back can be a consistent receiving threat is
If you got a running back getting 5 to 6 catches minimum per week,
oh, that's great. Yeah, that's
that's a
also
lot.
like Austin Eckler. Like the dude
It's a
he's
cheat
number
code.
one
It's a
for
cheat.
a reason. He's number one
Yeah,
for a reason. So which dude, so sad he was too old to put on the list. Like, golly.
yeah. So, and I almost still did it at like number
Me
5,
too. Me too. I
just
was so
because I have
close.
no reason to believe he's not going to continue to play this game for like 2 or 3 more seasons. And I think if you have him and you get 2 or 3 more seasons of Austin Eckler, congrats. Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
but the age, at some point, he can't do it all, right?
I know it. Yep. So my next one, since he's the same age as Christian McCaffrey, and I do think he's the best, like pure running, traditional running back in the NFL, that's Nick Chubb. He's
And
27, plays for a great offensive line, which I guess the Browns' offensive line supposedly was a little bit overrated last year. They didn't perform as well, I think, but he still put up stats and was a great running back for
yeah,
fantasy. And Nick Chubb, like I said, I mean, he's consistent. He's a great running back. He knows how to read a defense like no other from the running back position. He finds a hole no matter what. And it's crazy to watch. I can watch a Browns game, even if their quarterback is injured and they suck, because Nick Chubb, Nick Chubb is that good, man. He's just awesome to watch and has been since he was at Georgia.
yeah. He was like one of my first out on the honorable mentions. I agree with everything you said. I just think at some point the mileage will catch up, and especially in keeper. Like, I know he said he's the same age as Christian McCaffrey, but it's definitely a much different play style.
For
Um,
sure.
and it has been for his entire career, especially at Georgia. This man's been getting hit and hitting people for a very long time.
Yeah,
But I think, but to kind of add on to what you said about the vision, that's one thing that gives me faith in him to hang around is that vision. That'll add another 2 years to a running back's career.
Yeah, he takes less hits than a
Yep,
lot of these bruiser running backs do. Ken Walker was next, and we talked about him a little bit, or you did, and I agree with everything you said. He's very talented. Seahawks backfield always finds a way, but them drafting Zach Charbonnet and like I
yeah,
said, Kenny McIntosh has talent to be in the rotation too. So like it's just tough putting him
three
on a
very
top five
talented
list.
guys. Yeah, I imagine he'll be traded at the end of his
Yeah,
rookie deal.
yeah.
So that's when he becomes really valuable.
Yep. And Travis Etienne was the next one I had on there. You had him in your top five, and I totally respect that because the dude is, I mean,
Dude
he's
puts up
great.
points. Dude
Yeah.
puts up points when he's playing.
He is like, when you think of football electricity, like just in terms of how you play,
Yeah,
that's him. Like he is electric if I've ever
it's
seen it.
almost and it's just tough to say, and it's like a taste of that college Tavon Austin. A taste.
Right. Yep. Um, DeAndre Swift was the next guy I had on there simply because and I don't wish this on anyone, but just based on his past, when Rashad Penny gets injured, he's going to be a top 5 running back if the Eagles use him the way they should. And apparently, just repeating this over and over, I read a report, I think the other day, that he's lined up at
He has,
receiver a
he
little
has.
bit.
I saw videos of that. So it's a
And
big guy, and I think this is a big deal. We've talked about it 3 times now. If you got guys that are lining up at receiver, take chances on them. Take
yeah,
chances on them because that's a free receiver you can have in your lineup in a passing oriented league.
yeah, I think also it just proves that the coach wants to get them the ball any way that they can, which is huge,
Correct.
you know. So Najee Harris was the next one on my list. We talked about him earlier. I love Najee. He's one of my favorite players, like I said earlier, to watch in the NFL. Javonte Williams, who you touched on earlier, and he's great talent coming off that injury, but like we've said multiple times, it's not as big a deal now as it used to be.
It's
And
just
then
not.
my final honorable mention, and I know I'm doing a lot of honorable mentions, but
It's a lot of talent.
that's how
A lot of talent.
talented it is. Yeah, exactly. So my final honorable mention is a guy who his role really is going to be huge this year, or at least to start the year is going to be huge. And depending on what he does with that, he has the ceiling to be a top 5 running back, I think, and that's Rashad White from the Bucks.
I love that.
I the guy didn't. His stats don't look good from last year. I looked him up earlier, and they really don't. Like I read an article even that said he was one of the worst running backs in the NFL. And I was like, okay, you didn't watch the games because he literally just listed the stats. The guy, I watched every game being a huge Tom Brady fan for the Bucks. And it the guy made plays whenever he could, but he wasn't given much of a chance. I mean, the
No,
Bucks
that was what I
offensive
thought.
line, Bucks offensive line last year was one of the worst offensive lines I've ever watched.
They
Tom
were
Brady,
absolutely atrocious. So I have Rashad White for everybody, for anybody curious. I hold him and I gambled. As soon as Lenny kind of started that decline, I picked up Rashad, and I from watching those games, dude. You want to talk a miserable offensive line play? I mean, there's a reason Tom Brady finally actually retired. You know,
yeah,
but I think if he kind of figures it out and they get a good scheme going to Tampa Bay, he's a very sneaky pick.
yeah. So I guess that closes out our honorable mentions. That's it
Yeah.
for our Dynasty top 5. Remember, that's Dynasty keeper leagues. Like we always say, don't kill us for not having Austin Eckler and guys who are older
If it was a
on the
redraft
list.
league, if it was redraft, Austin Eckler would be my number one still.
Easily,
Until
yeah,
until he isn't, he is. If that makes
easily.
any sense.
Yeah, he's been my number one for 2 years now, and he's still there.
Skylar, I think it's about time we move on to our last segment, and one I've been looking forward to ever since we came up with the idea for the podcast. We got
Yeah.
some hot takes. I think we specialize in hot takes, and I'm really excited for this because we're actually going to have our first guest on the show. So as they're joining in, me and Skylar kind of give you an idea of what's going to happen. We did some, research. We looked up, professionals, or I say professionals, but these are just media heads, their takes on sports, the results of upcoming seasons, and then we also kind of came up with our own. So we're going to discuss these hot takes, and our guest, it looks
Oh,
like he's connecting right now.
looky there.
The young man has joined in. He's muted, and there he is.
All right,
There he
Everybody,
is.
round of applause for my younger brother, Carson Strickland. Welcome to the lunch table. How are you doing, young man?
Oh, we're living out here. We're living in
Uh,
Kentucky.
Amen to that.
so, Carson, we got you on last segment of the show, and we figure, let's get the specialist out here for some hot takes. So, we want you to spew some takes at us, and we might debate you, we might agree with you, and then we have some of our own that we're going to run by you.
All right, you want to start with football or baseball?
Lead me down baseball
Let's do
first.
it. Let's go. Let's
All
go
right,
baseball.
all right. So we're gonna start with something a little fresh here. The Astros and the Rangers trading
Okay.
for Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. That makes them not any better. They just
Really?
got older. They're just going to get hurt. You're not going to win with them.
So you're telling me the Astros fans need to temper their expectations?
I mean, Verlander gives you what? 3 quality starts, and he might go on the IR for the rest of the year.
All right, y'all heard it here first.
It's a good
Verlander,
point.
three quality starts for the Stros, and then he'll be on the IR. Book it.
Hot take number 1. Knocked out.
That's all I had to hear.
All right, I'll give y'all my baseball hot take. This is a World Series result take. If the Braves do not win it all, it will be the Orioles who win the World Series this season.
Funny you say that. That was my next one.
No shot. No shot.
I wrote down the Orioles will go to the World Series this year.
Oh, so you're guaranteeing that they at least appear in the World Series?
Oh, yeah, guaranteed.
Okay. All right, it's a lock. Birds in the World Series. I would call them Birds Braves right now.
Yeah,
I like
I got to be honest. I know I'm wearing a Braves hat, and I do watch the Braves. I do, but my amount of league-wide baseball knowledge is very close to zero. So I can't really speak too much on the Orioles side. But the Braves are great, best record in baseball right now. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Well, Carson, let's spoon feed Skyler a little more something his speed. Give me a football take.
Let's do
All
it.
right. Give me Desmond Ritter, top 15 QB this season.
Oh God.
Really?
Oh
Jesus.
God.
That's
God.
That's a pretty
I'm
hot
here.
one. But
That's
so
flaming, man.
Why
Flaming
do you
hot.
think-
I have a lot of faith in the young man.
you think he just balls out? It
mean,
kind of all clicks.
A fully healthy offense, he's suited to succeed.
I'll just say that I saw a video, which it was training camp, but I saw a video today of Desmond Ritter throwing a ball at least 4 yards behind a wide open Kyle Pitts on an out route. And I got really sad thinking that the only thing that Mariota left this team was the inability to hit Pitts.
I saw an entire game of Desmond Ritter running around with crap in his pants against a Georgia defense that was way too NFL-like for him. And I didn't see him be much better last year, but nothing's impossible, man. Arthur Smith's a great offensive coach. So
Desmond Ritter, top 15 quarterback fantasy, book it.
I like that. All right. Let's see.
You give us a take, Skyler. Feed us something right here.
So most of mine were looked up by me.
We can discuss this.
Finding experts and stuff, but this one I thought was just hilarious. I read it from a guy on Yahoo Sports. He had some hot takes, and yeah, that was mistake number 1. He says the Broncos in a division with, as you know, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Los Angeles Chargers are going to win the AFC West this season.
No shot.
I swear on my life.
No shot.
That's a hot one.
That's steaming hot. I'm actually right now, I would like to know the odds.
I'm sure they are extremely low.
It's got to be the last.
Well, I'll just tell you all this. They have the second to last odds on just winning the AFC conference in general. The second lowest odds. So out of 16 teams.
Dude, I love Sean Payton, but come on, man. Like, you saw that team last year. Like, they're not going to improve that much. They're not going to be better than the Chiefs. Come on.
Not even close.
AFC West odds to win the division right now. Obviously, Chiefs are the favorite at negative 180. But the Broncos have the third highest odds.
Over the Raiders?
They are over the Raiders, and that would be it. And they are actually well over the Raiders. The Raiders apparently not going to look very good next year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's who's Josh McDaniels and Jimmy Garoppolo are reuniting, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, I guess. I don't know. The AFC West, I mean, I know they just paid Herbert all that money in Los Angeles, but I think the Chiefs are just going to bend that division over for years.
Yeah. It's kind of a slaughterhouse division, though. I mean, all the teams are good. Like, the Raiders aren't a bad football team. They're just bad for their division.
Yeah, like they would wax the NFC South.
Oh, dude.
Like, absolutely. Yeah. It wouldn't even be close.
Dude, come on. Worst division. All right. Who's got one next? Carson,
I
what
got. I actually have
Brody?
one
Let's hear
more.
one. Let's hear it.
So since we're on the NFL, I'm calling this right now. MVP Tua. Tua wins MVP. Dolphins get put out in the conference championship.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Tua.
I gotta hate on
think-
that.
I think
hate
Tua.
on
I
that.
think Tua stays healthy for the full year, and they fully unleash the Dolphins' offense. And I think he puts up one of the most random, legendary seasons of all time, and it will be the last good thing he does. Y'all wanted hot takes, and that's my
That's a hot one.
that's a hot take that I genuinely believe in. So y'all can debunk that however you please, but that's all I gotta say about that.
I mean,
It's harder than the next one I had.
dude,
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a Tua hater. But
I don't like Tua.
he
I don't-
does have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, so it's not impossible. But whew, that's hot. That's a hot take.
Just remember, y'all heard it here first.
All right,
I
Feed
got,
me,
I got
Carson.
one more football. One more.
Feed me.
let's hear it.
Or I had two more, but we'll go with one more. The Bears, they're going to win the NFC North while Justin Fields wins the MVP.
I think that's a hotter take than the one that I just had.
Well, hold on.
Justin Fields wins MVP of the NFL.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a huge jump. I mean, I think he has the potential for a Jalen Hurts jump, but Jalen Hurts didn't win the MVP. He was a candidate, though. I do think Justin Fields has a chance to be a candidate. I'm a little high on him.
I could take Justin Fields ending the season as like top 5 in MVP voting. No shot he wins MVP next year. And I will say
NFC North, though, the division.
I think there is a chance. The Bears still aren't very good. I think they're doing a good job of building with what they have. But the NFC North is kind of a crapshoot right now. I just think that the Vikings will continue to do what they do and win the division and then choke in the playoffs.
Who else is Vikings, Packers, Lions, right?
Yep. But yeah, you can't count the Lions either. The Lions actually, I would venture to say, are probably the favorites of that division. And I'll look right now.
I bet the Bears are.
While you're looking that up, though, you also, in my opinion, can't count out the Packers because Jordan Love, we don't know what he is. And if he is anything close to his potential, that's a scary team, too.
I absolutely agree. And I just want y'all to know that the Detroit Lions are actually the favorites to win the division this year.
I'm not
That is
surprised.
a massive turnaround.
I'm not surprised.
But the NFC North has very tight odds. I mean, it's all within 300, give or take.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a crapshoot division. But I will say the Bears have the worst odds to win the division.
Do they really?
They do.
Wow.
Yeah. Their defense is
they're bad.
Pretty bad. Yeah.
Might throw a bet on them tomorrow.
But I wouldn't. All right, you do that.
You feel free. It's only plus 430, Carson. It's not that good.
Hey, plus 430 is plus 430.
So this is I've got another one, and this is one of my own hot takes. We're going to transition over to the NBA for a second.
Okay.
Anthony Edwards will be widely considered the best shooting guard in the NBA after this season. Over Devin Booker, over Donovan Mitchell, over Jaylen Brown, and over Paul George.
I agree with all of them except for Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker will continue to be the best shooting guard in the league. I think that's just how it will be.
Defense.
I don't care about defense. It's not a defensive league anymore.
Anthony Edwards is the Kobe of this generation's NBA.
That's a hot one.
That's a hot one.
That's a hot one.
Clip that one and just remember that was said. Wow. Anthony Edwards is the Kobe of this generation of basketball.
That's a stout take.
Clip it. Did you watch round 1 of last year against the Nuggets?
I think he's unreal.
When Cat, Rudy, everybody else on the team quit, he was averaging 30. He's got it, dude. The ice.
Kobe. I'm
not saying he's gonna be as good as Kobe. I'm saying he is in terms of his play style and his impact on both ends. dude, I'm telling you,
Okay,
he's just
that's a
as
more
good.
reasonable statement.
He's just as good an individual defender as he is an offensive player, which is saying a lot because he's one of the best offensive players in the league when he's
He is a bucket.
on.
He's a
So,
bucket, no doubt.
And he switched to number 5.
I'm
But
telling
we
you,
did have
just look out.
we did have a hot take in the group chat today where I believe Carson said he would be the MVP this season after the number change.
Oh yeah,
So
I mean,
that's been put out there.
it's
imagine
a
a world.
possibility.
Imagine a world where Cat and Rudy actually learn to play together and use each other's strengths off each other. They finish as a top 4 seed in the West. I mean, and Ant averages, I don't know, 32, 5, and 6. I mean,
That'd be a season. We could
That would be a
that would
season.
that we
not
could definitely have a
impossible.
conversation. No, it's definitely not. Any
Although-
other NBA takes? Actually, I'm interested to hear.
Uh,
I've got one more that I looked up.
Carson, actually, I'm gonna pause you, Skylar. Carson, you must have some gambling action tonight because I see you looking up at the TV, very interested in something. So, what action do you have tonight?
Yeah,
no, I
let's
don't have
hear
any.
it.
I don't have any action, but some news just came across my phone.
Really?
Uh-oh.
So some baseball news. The Astros, Framber Valdez throws his first career no-hitter in a shutout versus the Guardians just now.
A no hitter?
Wow.
A no-hitter,
A no-no.
Is that is the third one this year? I think.
something like that.
Ooh,
Wow,
90,
too bad it-
95 pitches, 1 walk. That's
95
insane.
pitches.
That's
Yeah,
what it says.
That's a Maddox and a no hitter. That's impressive.
Ooh.
Too bad it had to be an Astro. That's a shame.
yeah. But
There's a-
Brody, I did gamble tonight.
Okay, what do we have? What do you got?
I mean, it didn't hit already.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, all right. Well, on to Skylar's hot takes because Carson doesn't know anything about betting.
terrible
Um,
at it.
So I looked this one up, like I said. Well, I wouldn't really say looked it up. I would say it's more like I've seen it a lot recently. And it's one that has been proven wrong over and over, but people still keep buying into the hype. And that's Ben Simmons posting his workouts online
Oh my
and
God.
making a
Ben
comeback.
Simmons is a bomb. Ben
Why is he
Simmons
even still in the league?
I think he is a
dude.
bomb. He's going to be a serviceable defensive guard for a few years. But the superstar treatment is over. It needs to be done with. He needs to be out of the media. The guy's proven he's not him. If he bounces back, it would be like if Spieth comes back and wins a Grand Slam next year. I mean, just the ultimate sports comeback, in my opinion.
Pretty good comparison.
When Ben Simmons passed up that look over Trae Young in the playoffs, he was washed right there.
Yep.
Yeah,
That was a
I
career
can't-
ender.
It was. I don't think I've been seeing the hype too, Skylar. The workout videos.
Always.
You're all NBA players. Your workout videos should look great. You're one of the best 300 basketball players in the world, but like you're not him.
Speaking of which, I saw Rudy Gobert draining threes today in a video for Team France.
Oh God, he's a
All
terrible
right.
center.
While we're talking NBA, give me y'all's MVP picks for next season.
Ooh, golly, that's hard.
MVP.
I mean,
MVP.
can I say the easy one? Can I cop out and say Jokic?
I mean, you're allowed to say that, but I would like to hear if Jokic doesn't win pick. Because I'm going to ride the Trae Young train until it fucking happens because it will happen. We're going to have to win the finals pretty much, and he's got to be the best player on the team, which he's the best player on the team. But I just want it so bad. It's so bad. I want a Trae Young and Ronald Acuna Jr. MVP season together, and then my life as an Atlanta sports fan can end happily.
And your life as a fantasy basketball player.
Yeah, I mean, just know that if Trae Young has an MVP season and carries me to a championship in fantasy, oh God, the shit talk will be unreal. I'll be insufferable.
By the way, Carson is in the fantasy league with me and Brody as well. Just wanted to throw that out
Carson, actually the inaugural champ of the fantasy league, a
there.
true
That is true.
GM's GM, a guy that will put together a trade like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Watch your team when Carson's around.
He was
Just
the
rebuilt
first.
the whole roster.
Oh yeah, he was the first one to beat me in a championship, and then I lost again. It's second year too.
Skylar,
Yeah, it is what it is.
We'll keep whenever the NBA season rolls around. We'll definitely give y'all updates on the league every week. The NBA league we have is a bar none a great fantasy league. I mean, just the content it generates, the shit talk, the matchups, and the characters that we have in this league. It gets serious, and we'll get into it later on. We can talk about my draft strategy originally and all that. Not my proudest moment, but guys, we're wrapping up the hot takes, wrapping up the show. Carson, do you have any other takes you wanted to share? Anything just as hot as could be?
As hot as could be. I mean, you're gonna think I'm wild with this one again.
This is why we got you here. This is why we got you here.
I think the Falcons will start 5-0.
Okay.
What's our? Do you have?
I'd
our
have to look at
pulled
their
up?
schedule.
Do we have this here? I'll pull up the schedule.
It's not a terrible start to their season.
Don't we have like the easiest schedule in the NFL next year? Am I wrong?
Pretty much. We start with the Panthers. We go to the Packers, Lions, Jaguars, Texans.
We could. It's not impossible.
There's 3 solid teams in there.
I think we beat the Panthers.
I don't know about the Lions, Jaguars, and Packers.
The Lions and Jags are the 2 that scare me the most.
And the Packers, man. That Packers.
I think
defense
Packers,
against Desmond Ritter.
I think our defense against
top
Jordan
15
Love.
QB.
I just don't know about that one, man. The top 15 for Desmond Ritter would be a massive turnaround. He was like a top 50 maybe last year.
I can't get on that train at all.
I think that's your hottest one, Carson.
I want y'all to know it's gonna happen.
If it happens, I'll come up with a little hot take trophy and I will bestow it upon you.
Go ahead and put them on your fantasy team.
I'm good.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
I mean, if I was still in OD league, I would trade my whole team for him.
You're insane right now. I wouldn't trade the back.
My team was terrible.
A quarterback though? Trade your whole team for a quarterback?
My team was terrible in that league.
Yeah, Carson, and for everybody's reference, Carson just left this league because he knew there was nothing he could do to save his roster.
Now I co-own for Brody.
You take winning expertise anywhere you can get it. But
that is correct.
Carson, we're glad you hopped on.
Everybody,
man. We hope you enjoyed the show this week. It was definitely a fun one. I think it was fun tossing up the order this time, Skylar, kind of changing things around. And Carson, we may have to get you to appear a little more often.
I'll get some hotter takes next time.
I want you for the next time we have you on. I need some NFL player season outcome takes.
Player season outcome takes.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I want you to have those queued up. Who's the sleeper picks? Like, who are the guys that are going to fall off and who's going to show up?
Oh, I got you. Easy.
That's right,
Carson.
That's right.
We appreciate you showing up.
Yeah. Thank you, Carson, for coming on the show.
Honor being here.
Thanks for sitting at the lunch table. First time we're having a guest on the show.
Yes.
All right. It was a pleasure.
All
right. Guys. I guess we'll just sign off, everybody. I think it's been a great episode 3. I'm really excited to put this one out because I think we really had a good flow in this one. And
absolutely,
really make sure everyone you leave a comment, leave a like. I don't know if it helps for me to say that, but I'm going to say it anyways.
It's got to mean something. It's got to mean something.
Hey, I did add the little thing to the beginning of our second episode. If you didn't notice, the little like, subscribe notification.
I caught that. Yeah.
And we got 4 new subscribers last week. So woo.
That's good stuff.
Shout out everybody. We appreciate y'all following the podcast for real. Thanks for sitting at the lunch table, everybody. And if no one's got anything else, we'll call it a night.
No, sir. Y'all gentlemen have a good one, and I'll see y'all next week.
See you, fellas.
All right.